Okay, good morning and welcome. This is Pounds for Breakfast. I'm Dane van der Mast. It is a beautiful Wednesday morning, guys. Let me know where in the world you are joining us from. Let me know city, country. Are you at home? Are you driving? Where are you at? And what are you up to? If you're part of yesterday's Dollars for Lunch, it was a massive session, and we had a ton of fun in that. If you held your buys throughout that US market open, you should be smiling because those buys were absolute rockets. Went straight to the sky. So we smashed some sells, we smashed some buys, and we're going to be doing it all over again. Now, obviously, the big focus for this week is still going to be that CPI data event for tomorrow. So again, if you are part and parcel of that, you definitely want to make sure that regardless of what you do, get set up, get prepared, because tomorrow is going to be big, right? Generally, when we get a CPI data event, it's 50-50, but tomorrow, looking at where the world is and where we are as in general, from a currency perspective, we can expect some massive moves tomorrow, right? CPI tomorrow could be tantamount to an NFP. It could be tantamount to a federal interest rate announcement. So it is going to be massive. You do want to be a part and parcel of that. Now, I want to ask everybody to take a second as we grow the Globex 360 family. We're doing our part and obviously providing the best level of live TV education, trade support, and information in the markets. I want you to go ahead and do me a very special favor on this beautiful Wednesday. First and foremost, I want you to go and see that like button, that little like button on this YouTube video. I want you to go smash it. Smash it 10 times. Only going to count as one, but I want you to go and smash that like button. In addition to that, I'd like to ask you guys, please, to go ahead and share this with somebody that's out there, right? We do have that CPI event tomorrow, and I would love for people to come and see what it is that we do here, right? A lot of traders out there, a lot of people out there don't know what's coming in the next couple months in terms of the economy, right? Things are about to get tough as we head into December. Things start to get extremely tough around the world, and I would like to get more people to understand and see what it is that the markets are about, not for any other reason, not to show them profits, but to see how tough markets can be and what we provide at Globex 360. And again, massive thank you to the whole team at Globex 360 for making things like this possible. When you go ahead and share, you're sharing the love, and that is what it is all about. As you continue to share, we continue to pour it out and give you so much more. Now, in addition to that, our brand new academy is launching this weekend, right? You heard right. Our brand new Globex 360 Academy will be live. We sorted out this weekend, meaning from next week, you're going to be in a position to understand, go ahead and study, whether it be price action, whether it be risk management, whatever it may end up being, it's all covered in insane details within our academy. In addition to that, our new trading platform is also there. So I'm doing a training on that trading platform that's also included into our academy. So go ahead and share. And if you'd like early access into the academy and some of that material, go ahead and share this link with somebody out there, whether it be on WhatsApp, whether it be on Telegram, and send me a screenshot of that, and I'll get you some early access to some of the content. Now, we are going to have exclusive content for our different account types. So if you're just getting started, we're going to help you with the basics, setting up your trading platform, depositing withdrawals, some of those basics which people do struggle with. And then we're going to move step up all the way to advanced analysis sessions, deep insights into the market and resources that will just take everything to the next level. Leaf on Skulkbake, yes, it is this weekend. Can I get a let's go baby in the chat? Because it is going to be massive. It's going to be a game changer. It's something we've been working on for an exceptional amount of time, right? To make sure it's perfect, to make sure it gives you everything that you need. No smoke, no mirrors, but everything that you need in the markets, right? In deep insight. So there's going to be a ton of content, a lot of hours of things that you can go ahead and refer to. And a lot of the times we'll be doing advanced analysis, I'll be able to refer you to an exact link. So if you're struggling with price action, if you're struggling with Fibonacci retracements, arcs, time zones, whatever it may end up being, pivot points, I can refer you to that exact teaching. You can go in depth, not only learn what it's about, but apply it and submit your results in terms of assignments. So we are going to grow this. This is going to be a very big key focus of ours outside of live TV. In addition to that, live TV is going to be changing next week. We're going to be having a bunch of new content. We're going to be giving you guys, as I said yesterday, a review every single morning of what you need to know in the markets in 60 seconds. And then we're also going to be giving you a summary every evening before you go to bed of what has happened, what transpired, whether we made money, whether we lost money, what happened in the world, and the important things that you need to know just before you go to bed. So we're just going to make it that much easier to get that information in your hands. So massive things coming. And that's why I really want you to go ahead and share this link with somebody out there, and we will then go ahead and prepare that, right? In addition to that, let's just quickly read some of the comments and just give a shout out to our massive community. You guys are amazing. Let's just quickly see who's in the house with us, and just go put up your hand really quickly. So you go to the bottom of the chat just so I can get to your name a bit quicker. But let's go through it. We have Rafiq, we have John, we have Colin, Lucky Leaf and Skullquake, Alvin, Renisha, Ruan, Only Your Limpopian. I'm still curious on your. Oh, that's one of our team. Mackenzie, we have Taboho, we have John, Fabian, Lana, Tumelo, Michael, Rashdin. Let's see who else we have here. Monto, Mamachella, Godwin, Sherman, Bonga, Graham, Vusi, Fabian, Ash, Colin, Garrett. I think I already mentioned Colin. A ton of people in the house, guys. Listen, welcome to Pounds for Breakfast. Now, again, this dollars for lunch this afternoon is for live account holders. So if you don't have a Globex 360 account, I don't know what you're doing. Go ahead and go to that link down below, open up your account, get it funded, and then you get all the premium and additional shows for free just by having that live account. Whether you want to come and sit and watch and participate, just in terms of viewing, drawing your trend lines, getting informed, then you're more than welcome to do that. But we do have dollars for lunch this afternoon. It is the extended sessions, and I've got some amazing things planned for the dollars for lunch. We're going to go a little bit deeper into markets in terms of what is busy happening. There's a lot of potential. There's money to be made, and we are going to get into it, and we are going to get it right. So we're going to start off on a local front, and there's not too much on the news, but we are going to speak about it anyway. So again, we're going to speak about, the finance minister is obviously going to come under quite a bit of scrutiny regarding his budget. We're going to get a lot of opinions there. At the end of the day, it's all about delivery, right? Is the budget sufficient in terms of this midterm? And do we see it helping people at the end of the day? That is the biggest question. The issue that I think is most pertinent is, Transnet. We're going to start to see a bunch of strikes. We're going to start to see a lot of chaos in the world in this moment as we get into silly season being that December, January period. We don't like to see these kinds of tensions because it already is a tough season as it is overall for most people and most businesses. So again, we just want to keep, the country and their leaders within our prayers. Now, looking into the US news in terms of what's busy happening in the world, the biggest item here that I think is of importance is Cathy Wood is essentially really looking at a Republican win for this midterm elections, right? So we are going to look at, where they are currently sitting, and the Republican and the Democrats are pretty much neck and neck on this one, but it definitely seems that the Republicans do have it. We will go into the details in terms of the different states and who is where, right? But Cathy Wood is looking for a bull market in terms of a Republican win. Now, we discussed this yesterday, that the Democrats will most likely strengthen the dollar. That is the current leadership under Biden, but the Republicans will obviously have a bigger impact on the markets long term. So if you missed that, go and have a look at our session from yesterday, Pounds for Breakfast. If you do have a $100 account, then you can go and access dollars for lunch yesterday and go through that breakthrough and breakdown analysis that we did on the different Republicans versus Democrats. You're more than welcome to jump into that. Just really having a look at the comments, really. Ruan's Clarkson saying Fibonacci would be great to understand properly. Fibonacci is absolutely massive. Chris H saying, Dana, you still holding the trade from yesterday? Guys, I woke up at like 11:30, 12. I don't know what time it was. Opened up my MT4 on my phone and I saw this massive buy and it was retracing and I closed it. When I woke up this morning, I wasn't sure if it was a dream or not, and I literally had to go back into my trade history and double check, and I held the buy until about, I think, 11:30, 12 last night. I do see a big retracement happen there on after. We will go into the analysis, but I caught a good chunk of that buy. So really pushed the week into a massive profitable zone, regardless of Thursday, regardless of Friday. So I'm hoping somebody else held that buy. It was absolutely massive. Now, looking into the pound this morning, before we get into those midterm numbers, pound sterling strengthens against the euro and the dollar. I don't think so. At the moment, we've obviously got that dollar weakness, but I think, looking at between the pound and the euro, my bet would be close on the euro. And I'll show you guys in a second from a pure price action perspective. And having a look at the US midterms, we can see that, they're running, and this changes live, like this updated as of, let's see, a minute ago. And this will essentially come very, very close From a confirmed perspective, right, it certainly looks like the Democrats have a lot more from a confirmed perspective. But in terms of, likely leadership here, it is possible for the Republicans to still take it, right? So again, we did this breakdown yesterday of, a Republican versus a Democrat, Joe Biden being currently on the Democratic side of things, Donald Trump being part of the previous Republican regime. And this is something we see tends to change from presidency to presidency. We swap Republicans versus Democrats, and these economic policies and swings do have a big impact on the markets, right? As we said yesterday, a Republican win in terms of the House and Senate and some of these other important political seatings could have, and it's not locked in stone, but could have a very positive effect on the stock markets overall, whilst a Democratic overall win there under Joe Biden would necessarily strengthen the dollar, but will have a negative effect on the stock market. As we know, when the dollar is too strong, stock market really struggles to make gains. In addition to that, and what isn't in the news at this moment, is Bitcoin's massive move, right? I'm not seeing it being reported. Wall Street's ignoring the issue, but if you go have a look at Bitcoin, which we're going to have a look at in a second in the charts, Bitcoin just suffered a massive crash, right? I think it's a little bit of a market manipulation. We will dive into it, but usually we see things like this before substantial moves towards the top side. So as we jump into the fundamentals, just having a look at what is in store today on the economic calendar, we can see that we have a fairly quiet day. As we know, expected for today, it's expected to be fairly quiet from a dollar perspective. Looking into tomorrow is where we're going to start to see some of those big moves. Now, just having a quick view and just a quick peek into tomorrow, I just obviously want to point out that that is where majority of our focus is going to end up being, because that is obviously where we're obviously going to have a look at those CPI data releases and data results. And that is obviously where we want to pay most of our attention to. So the CPI data for tomorrow is going to be coming in at 3:30 in the afternoon. I just want to confirm really quickly. Let's see, 3:30, yes. So we will be starting tomorrow's broadcast a little bit earlier. We're going to be starting at 2:45. We're going to analyze what the CPI data could mean. There is expected a little bit of a fall in CPI data across the board. The only item that I would say is not expected to potentially fall is going to be the CPI month-on-month for October. Across the board, right, initial jobless claims expected to increase, bad for the dollar. CPI year-on-year for October, bad for the dollar. Core CPI, bad for the dollar. CPI month-on-month for October is expected to rise slightly, right? So rising CPI numbers, just to give everybody a quick summary in what we're going to look for tomorrow, rising CPI numbers means dollar strength, right? In our current terms, recessionary type terms of what the Federal Reserve is trying to achieve, that is bad for the Federal Reserve's interest rate in all of their financial tools that they've thrown at the dollar. This is bad for that. So if we see a number below expectations be bad for the dollar, good for the Federal Reserve's outlook, it means they're achieving their goals, and then stock markets could rally in light of and a potential Federal Reserve not coming in with that full 75 basis points in December. So that's what the optimism is currently looking for and looking like in the markets overall. Now, we are going to quickly have a look at the S&P 500 heat map because that'll give us an idea of what we saw yesterday in the markets. And it's kind of a confirmation of what we already know from a charts perspective, but we will look at it anyway, because there is one outlier here that we do need to discuss, and that's definitely going to be Tesla, right? Tesla is still down another 2.9%, and this is going to mostly stem to the fact that Elon liquidated almost $4 billion in Tesla shares to further accommodate Twitter. Now, we did say that this is a possibility, this could happen, and that Tesla would still suffer some consequences of the shaking up that is currently happening on Twitter. Now, would this continue long term? I don't think so. I think he's obviously made some cash available to make some of the changes that are needed, obviously as that $44 billion buyout deal concludes. But we can see across the board, the rest of the market sitting well within the green, and that is reflective of what we obviously saw in the market in terms of market close yesterday. Now, the reason it's not super green is for the reason that we obviously saw quite a big retracement in the markets yesterday. So we are going to dive a little bit deeper, and we're going to have a look at what the markets have to offer us from a pure price action perspective. And let's dive into it. Let's have a look. There's some amazing opportunities that lay ahead for us. So let's jump in and let's have a look at the markets. And we're going to start off and just move straight into some live trading this morning because markets are already moving and there's some opportunities for us. So we are going to be starting off with US 30. That is going to have some of the best signs and potential that we can essentially take advantage of this morning. And what I want to point out is I've been looking at some price action. I just want to quickly switch over to our new platform and just give you a view of what is happening there from a bigger perspective, right? So on our new platform, I just want to point out this is a daily time frame, right? And if you have a look and zoom in here, right, this is starting off beginning of this year, right? Beginning of this year, we've been in this little bit of a bear market, and each time we've retraced back to this solid level of resistance. Looking at the last move down that happened mid-August, we have retraced above that 78.6 on the Fibonacci, and we just need to be accountable, or at least cognizant of the fact that, you know, we do have this resistance passing through us. I do believe there's enough strength in this, specifically if we get that US 30 or we get that negative CPI data, right, that could fuel a breakthrough of this resistance and past that 88.2 is our clear zone. So that 88.2 will register as 33,600 and 33,700, right? So $33,700 would register as a breakout on that 88.2, which is something I just want to point out. There is obviously better price action or more detail that can be observed on the smaller time frames. Looking at 15 minutes, this is what we're currently seeing. We had a little bit of a symmetrical triangle formation. We're starting that bit of a breakout process, but we also just need to be aware that we do have this bigger diagonal at play here that we do obviously need to overcome to be a continued or at least a sustained buy through this level. So looking at this London session, we can definitely see there's volume in this market. This is currently a 1 minute time frame, and we're starting to see this market attempt to push through this current zone that we're seeing here. Now, I won't buy into resistance. As you guys know, we want markets to clear resistance and then break that as well. So we will observe, do we get that breakthrough in this particular session? But I would like to see some volume to the top side. As we've seen in previous sessions, London market can open up with a bit of a direction and then reverse very, very quickly, right? So again, we're seeing those rejections there, multiple rejections, and this may be a sign that there is a little bit of weakness here, and we could be bouncing off of these levels towards the potential downside. So I'm not looking at shorting this market. I'm looking at staying cash happy, but I would love to buy it, right? Because I believe that is what the markets are looking for from a midterms elections perspective. And that's where my view is going to be this morning. So I want to obviously just make sure that if that breaks through, we obviously catch that, and it may be a good buy in the books for today. Just confirming what happened yesterday afternoon, right? We were sitting here yesterday afternoon, just in terms of what the market structure was. We've got that big move there, and that's distorting the charts a little bit. So this is where we were yesterday. Markets sold off. We caught that sell. Markets then reversed, took out some trailing stops in profit. And then we see this massive, massive bull rally that happened yesterday afternoon from 20 to 5. That bull rally was over 4,500 points, 4,500 pips, apologies. And then we can see a little bit of a turning point that came in around about 8 p.m. last night. Now, this is normal, right? There is going to be opportunities on dollar domination to look for these reversal points in the US market. So the key eyes among you, you can go and have a look specifically at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and 10 o'clock every evening in the week on the current DST settings, right? So if you're looking previously, so you're going past this week, you want to have a look at what ends up happening at about 7, 8, and 9 o'clock. In this week, you want to observe what happens at 8, 9, and 10 o'clock. You're going to see some pivot points. You're going to see some market reversals, and that's just due to market shutting down. It's due to business slowing down on the US side, and that can sometimes correlate in some market movements and market structures. One way of potentially viewing this is also by utilizing the MACD, which I will be teaching when we get into dollar domination. Now, again, if you want to understand strategy in full concept and full context in terms of step by step, you want to make sure that you at least have $100 in your live account, so that when we do the dollar domination strategy announcement and training, you are then obviously part and parcel of that. And this is where we break down everything step by step. So we are going to wait this morning and have a look. Do we get that breakout? We are starting to get a little bit of that punch through there, and I would like to see us just clear into this zone. I'm considering putting in a feeler trade here, so I'm going to pop in a position there, and I'm literally just going to pull my support, my stop loss below the last support. Very well and well aware that we could do a little bit of a pullback here, but I'm looking for, a 300, maybe 350 pip stop here, and just allowing this market to breathe a little bit as we push through this zone. If we push through this zone, it's a nice early entry, but I'm also well aware we could do some sort of retracement here. And so that's just a feeler trade. I'm not going all in, and I'm not setting up 3 positions with TPs. I'm merely just putting a feeler in that if we go through that zone, I can move my stop loss into profit. I've got one position that can then aid me to open up multiple positions as this market rallies and as this market pushes through. We are seeing good volume on the London session this morning, but again, we just want to make sure that that volume is continued and we don't get any sort of reversal on this market structure. So that's going to be the first thing this morning that I'm going to set up, and I'm just going to pop that in there. Just quickly giving attention to where NASDAQ is in a similar type of situation. NASDAQ is also pushing further higher. German 30 also pushing higher. This is obviously going to be key for me to obviously have a look at, does German 30 have the same correlation? And it does. And that means that this market movement is mostly dollar driven. So if any time you want to understand whether stock markets are moving based on the individual stocks themselves or whether it's dollar driven, just look for that correlation across all the different indice setups, and that will give you a really good indication whether it's being driven by the dollar or whether it's being driven by indices themselves. So markets are pushed a little bit lower. It's a better entry point from a trade perspective, but obviously this is high risk because we are now buying into resistance, which is not ideal, but it does mean for a lower entry. So all I'm going to literally do is set up that little bit of a lower entry into that buy. But again, also understanding, we've had this big move and we can start to correct. That is also very, very possible. I think if you're looking for confirmation and you're a little bit worried about this trade or worried about high risk moves, what you can look for is a break of highs across indices across the board, and that should coincide with the resistance that we're seeing on US 30. So if you're not looking for a high risk position, you're looking more to just play a breakout, a safer trade, then I would say, a breakthrough of that last high we're seeing on a 1 minute time frame may be exactly what you need to potentially look for. Looking a little bit closer from that price action, right? We are on a minute time frame, so we're maxing out our perspectives already, but we can start to assume some sort of market structure here. Most accurately, we're probably going to have to utilize these resistance levels. Support's a little bit dodgy here, but we can potentially consider where we are now being the lowest point, and anything below this point here, you may want to get out of a trade if you are long. But I'm going to hold these two nice deep entries or nice early entries, if you will. It would be nice to catch on the 10 o'clock mark the second we saw that volume in the markets. That's perfectly fine. We've got a direction anyway, and we're just going to allow that to do its thing. So as we look at other markets, please notify me if you see in the chat that things get moving. Just let me know what is happening. Okay, so someone's asking what is happening in Euro USD. So we will move into the analysis section, and Euro USD is essentially being fueled on that dollar weakness this morning, right, and yesterday evening. So Euro USD in a brilliant, perfect breakout position, right? We're sitting at that key zone that I was speaking about, that $1 flat, €1 buying $1 flat and 70 or 80 pips. So we're sitting right there in that key position. But again, please pay attention to the fact we have that CPI data tomorrow, right? If that CPI data beats expectations, it's going to be super strong for the dollar, and Euro USD is going to fall, right? The dollar is going to get stronger. The euro is going to afford to buy less and less of that dollar. And so we'll see Euro USD charts fall there. So I'm a little bit cautious on Euro USD. If we see a weakened dollar throughout the day, it might be great to get into an early entry. I just want to point out the fact that Euro USD from a price action perspective is, not trading anywhere close to support, right? So I just want to quickly point that out, and I just want to open that up. Give me a second. There we go. Okay, so I just want to point out and make you aware of the fact that Euro USD is not close to support. Let's go to 15 minutes. Just allow this chart to quickly do its little update there. Okay, I'm just waiting for my charts to quickly update. There we go. So if we have a look at Euro USD, this is currently obviously Euro USD. This is currently looking at a 1 hour time frame. We are at resistance. So in a lot of cases, when we reach resistance, we don't always pop through on the first try. There can be a retracement. If there is a retracement, we just need to understand there's some market structure sitting below us, and that is sitting from an entry perspective closer to the €1 buying $1 flat, so 1.00 and 24 pips. So 1.00 and 24 pips is the ideal entry in terms of a pullback. So we are going to set up a little bit of an alert here, and should that pop out in one of our live sessions, we will try and take advantage of that move should we end up getting it. USDT is not looking strong. If it goes past the zone, I may want to get out of this trade purely because of the fact that we then are pretty much moving into bear territory and potentially breaking this little bull push here. I am still going to hold it, however, and just see what else we can do with this trade. It is possible to make a rebound. It is possible to make an attempt to the top side. It is possible. There's obviously a lot of turbulence in the market, and a lot of the world is busy discussing right now the fact that Bitcoin has just surpassed that $1 trillion market cap. Yeah, so USDT is potentially breaking out here, and I think I'm going to get out of these positions, and I'm going to start to short USDT today. Right, so I'm happy to be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I want to be wrong quickly. And if we make a pullback there, I'm pretty happy to chase that pullback to the downside and just leave that as it is. Not taking too big of a risk. Remember, these feeler trades are simply about just making sure that we get in an entry, and then if that market then runs, which it is running now to the downside, market structure is broken to the top, then it's just about, essentially running with that trade there. Now, quickly, while that runs in the background, I will monitor it off the side here. I just want to talk about Bitcoin really quickly because that is a big story that no one's really speaking about. And this is where we're seeing a bunch of movement in the market this morning, right? So Bitcoin early hours, let's see, it started moving quite substantially yesterday, but really the place where it really started to get chaotic, I'm maybe just going to do this on a 15 minutes. I think we'll get more info and more detail, right? There we go. So yesterday afternoon, about 6 o'clock, we got a little bit of a bull move here. We got a little bit of a sell-off, a little bit of a bull move, but then sitting at that 7 o'clock mark, right? Bitcoin moved from $20,600 a coin to like a nuts level, right? To 16,850 per coin, right? That move, that amount of volatility will cause a ripple effect across the markets. Doesn't matter where it is that you look, right? That will cause a massive ripple effect. So that is obviously a major point of concern because obviously the future of crypto is on the line here. And if Bitcoin again has that type of volatility that basically economists have excluded it, right, from being a viable form of transaction, remember that's the whole issue here, right? People are scared of accepting Bitcoin because today, let's say you're selling a car at 100,000 Rand, right? Let's say at Bitcoin's current price. If you accept one Bitcoin, right, and tomorrow that same 100,000 Rand in relation drops down to 60,000 Rand, just by holding that coin in that volatile period, you've essentially lost 40,000 Rand. And that's the issue with transacting in crypto that makes it not as viable from just a transactionary perspective, right? So again, Bitcoin coming in with this massive spike yesterday evening, and obviously looking at today as well, will further fuel discussions that is it a valuable or viable alternative to fiat-based currency. Now, looking at the timing of this, right, it is awfully suspicious that we would start to see spikes around this time. Remember what I said about the CPI data. Remember what I said about the federal interest rate increase. Crypto's future, and crypto has been designed as an alternative to fight centralized finance. Okay, so ask yourself this question, and then this is where I'd love you guys to weigh in on this, right? If the world reserve banks and the federal reserves around the world knew that they're about to face incredible financial instability, okay, number one, and number two, there's an alternative being crypto blockchain, right? And you knew that this instability would fuel crypto, blockchain, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all these other coins, right? Would you want that technology to look bad? Would you want to exploit all the vulnerabilities that have made it not mainstream until now? I don't know. There is, there's a couple things that in the back of my head make me think that, this could be a form of manipulation. I did see quite a bit on last night about Binance and FX, number 1 and 2 crypto exchanges. The fact that Binance had to buy FTX to save it has triggered negative feelings in crypto. Yes, number 1. Number 2, there's been big hacks. But number 3, the skeptic in me goes, if they just bought the exchange, that's one thing, right? Because maybe the margins have become cheaper, whatever the case may be, but it shouldn't cause that massive sell-off on the price of crypto, right? That is extremely suspicious to me, and that is obviously something we want to pay attention to. So Rajdeen's asking, what is the expectations for CPI for tomorrow? So again, it's unknown at this point. We try not to forecast, what these events could lead to. I would be expecting a weaker dollar, right? So we've been expecting a weaker dollar for a while. The forecasts are weaker. So the forecasts are for a lower CPI than what we received last month. So certainly not a strong number, but I do think, and I do think it's in the cards to see a much weaker than expected number. The US has also proven very, very well in the past that when expecting weakness, they come out with bat swinging. So that's why for tomorrow, we're not going to be preparing a setup expecting it to be bullish or expecting it to be bearish. We're simply going to be preparing orders as we did with the NFP to accommodate for both a positive, a negative, as well as a neutral result, because that's what we want to do. We only want to be prepared, have the tools to be able to capitalize on a trade and not predict it. Right, so I would like to see a weaker than expected CPI number that would again fuel the stock market or fuel indices across the board, and we could see some very, very big gains, right? Blistar is saying, so there's a possibility we could see a crash next month. Listen, the times that we are living in, right, anything could happen, right? We are living in unprecedented times with regards to war, with regards to economies, with regards to finance, with regards to employment. It is an extremely volatile period that we're living in, and that's why I've said, if there's ever been a better time to understand the markets and to be a part of it and to trade the markets, it's now. Because if you can understand these volatile times, when things recover, and remember, this is seasonal, this has happened 20, 30 times before, but when things recover, you have been in a position to have learned in some of the most volatile periods that there are. It's going to force you to have good risk management. It's going to force you to put time in behind the screens and understand what is happening in the world. And it's no longer just a buy or sell. It's no longer just a signal, right? So yeah, it's going to be crazy. So for White saying, if the dollar drops tomorrow, are we looking for a bullish move above the daily trend line resistance on US30? 100%. Right? Remember, the dollar has not had negative fundamental data, even NFP. Right? The only negative fundamental data there was just that unemployment was slightly higher than expected by 0.1%. Remember, the Federal Reserve has a goal of getting unemployment on the US to 4.4%, right? So that's an expectation. So that slight bit of weakness caused the markets to rally. So we haven't yet seen a full-on sign of weakness from the dollar. So if we get that weaker than expected CPI number, and again, it's going to come down to standard deviation. So if we see a weaker than 10% deviation across the board, that is going to cause a massively weak dollar, and markets will rally. I wouldn't even think it's a question of above the daily highs for indices. I would literally, if I see a weaker CPI number, I'm going all in, right? I would sell my grandmother and go all in onto US30. That's a joke. Please don't sell your grandparents. That's cruel. They love you and they got you to where you are. But yes, I would be extremely bullish on indices should we get that negative CPI data. Now, also remember, the world is aware of that, right? If you go and have a look at the world, there's two main things. There's currently the midterms, that is a big one, and it's going to be the CPI data. That CPI data is the biggest piece of data that we're going to receive for the first half of this month. That's going to give us an indication if the Federal Reserve's efforts are doing absolutely anything, right? If it comes out better than expected, the world is going to put a huge amount of pressure on the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve next month might not do 75 basis points, it might do a full 100 basis point hike, a full percentage, which has never been done in history, right? It could destroy the US economy. So there is a lot of variables that are hanging, and we're going to take advantage of them regardless, right? That is the beauty of Globex 360 Live TV. We're going to put in the work so that not necessarily you don't have to, but that we can confirm and do these things together. And that is what it is all about. So we're going to have a ton of fun, specifically tomorrow. I'm making sure I'm going to be well rested, well prepared because the CPI number is going to be big. Again, I think it has the potential, mark my words, to rock more than what we saw with NFP. I know, crazy, right? Consumer price index, it's a normal number. How can it rock more than NFP? That's purely because of how weighted it is on the importance on the Federal Reserve's later on decisions, as well as surrounding these midterms. So we obviously want to keep posted. There's a lot of questions about when are we going to get these midterm results? Well, the reality is most markets in the US, right? Most places in the US are only really going to bed at this time, right? A lot of polls started closing at 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the US. Obviously, they've got different time zones across the continent, but ultimately polls started closing around about this time right now. It's their evening time, right? So we need to remember those still need to be counted. Those voters who are mailing in those votes also need to be counted. So we could receive the final verdict anywhere in the next couple hours. Expect volatility. Please trade with caution. Whether you're buying, whether you're selling, no matter what it is that you're doing, please utilize a stop loss. It's far better to be wrong for a small amount than to be wrong against your whole account, specifically today, leading up into that CPI data tomorrow. So for tomorrow, that's where all my attack is on. I don't even mind if I don't place a single trade for dollars for lunch. I would like to get into it. I do think we will have the midterm results by the time we have New York Stock Exchange. So I do think we're going to get some volatility, and I do think I'm going to place some trades and we're going to bank some money there. But ultimately, right, I don't mind if I wait literally until tomorrow's CPI data event. That is where we're going to... Okay, we disconnected. I thought I lost everybody, but we're live. Are we live? The Federal Reserve was like, hey, listen, look in the background. They're selling US 30. They're making money. Let's just temporarily disconnect the stream so that they cannot make money. But listen, what I'm trying to say is Thursday is going to be massive. It is going to be free. So again, when you go ahead and share the stream with people, they can get a little bit of a heads up. And what we're going to do for those of you who have your $100 or more, we're going to have that pre-setup session. So we're going to have an advanced session just prior to the stream going live or public, where I'm going to help you do some pending orders. And what I'm personally going to use as a strategy to trade that CPI event, right? So if you want to be a part of that, please keep tuned or stay tuned, because tomorrow we are going to be going live publicly at 2:45, right? 2:45 to catch the US session, and then obviously 3:30 to catch the CPI data, all the way potentially up to 4:30 for the New York Stock Exchange. However, for those of you who have your $100 live accounts, we will be putting a link within the client area. That means if you go to www.globex360.co.za and you log in your client area, if you have more than $100 in that client area, we will be having a special session tomorrow. We'll communicate within the groups, but it'll more than likely be 30 minutes before we go publicly live. So if you want help with your pending orders, you want to ask any questions, you want to get yourself set up. Last time we had a very, very quick move on NFP. Those trailing stops kicked in, and ultimately was the difference between making and losing money in that particular session. Even though we caught a later trade overall, but just in terms of that quick move, we managed to catch it. I think it's going to be just as big. So if you want to be part and parcel of that, stay tuned and I will let you guys know. So just to confirm, I think let's set a time. Let's agree upon a time here. So if you've got a $100 live account, then we are going to say we will be live, right? So we're going to do an advanced training at 2:15 tomorrow. Okay, so 2:15, 2:15 GMT plus 2. We're going to spend 30 minutes together. I'm going to help set you up, take your questions, and we're going to get prepared for that CPI data release that is going to be happening tomorrow. So across the board, I don't see too much else happening that we do need to be aware of. That is obviously not Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not moving like that. Bitcoin is down in the gutters, but just something else to take note of. Those of you who caught, right, that gold trade, I do know a couple of you guys caught. I know Aslam is an absolute ninja when it comes to gold. He says he caught that trade as well. So gold eventually did that breakout. Right, now, why is this important? This is important because the future of gold currently relies on gold staying above the 61.8. Right, this is a fundamental zone. And again, if we get instability on the dollar, should we be in a position where, you know, the dollar's future is scrutinized, that will only fuel gold. Gold is a safe haven currency It has not acted like a safe haven in the first 6 months of this year. But I think if that CPI number comes out negative and the dollar starts to tank, there'll be enough worry and fear that money will be pumped into gold. By default, when the dollar drops, commodities rise. Gold is a good example of that. Brent's not always so much. There's separate geopolitical issues on the Saudi Arabia side of things, but gold is a good example of that. So we could start to see that correlation coming back, because we did see it yesterday. Dollar fell, gold rose. So we are going to be looking at opportunities on the CPI events on a couple of things. We're going to be looking at USD ZAR. We're going to be looking at Euro USD. We're going to be looking at gold as well as indices. So even if you don't like the volatility of the indices, there will be opportunities for you on some of those major currencies and some of those major pairs. So tomorrow is going to be massive. You definitely don't want to miss out. Whatever you do, you don't want to miss out on tomorrow. It is going to be big. It is going to be massive. Okay, so sorry about that temporary cut. Let's just see a Colin Fabian saying Bitcoin was designed to be decoupled from the dollar and any other fiat currency. We've seen, though, that anything that affects the dollar can affect Bitcoin. Yeah, absolutely. So the biggest fundamental issue with Bitcoin is it's priced in dollars, right? So when the thing you're being priced against rises in value, traditionally, it means that you can buy more and more of the thing, and that will obviously fall on a charts perspective. So wherever the dollar is the base currency. So if we have a look at Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin's value or symbol is BTC USD. BTC being Bitcoin, USD being the United States dollar. So when the dollar is the quote currency, right, it means when the dollar rises in value, that chart falls, because Bitcoin can afford to buy less and less in dollars because the dollar is becoming stronger. When the dollar is the quote currency and it gets weaker, BTC USD rises. So same example, gold is XAU USD, XAU being the gold part, USD being the dollar part. And so when the dollar gets stronger in value, right, you can afford to buy less and less gold, right? An ounce per gold, right, will start to fall because the dollar is the stronger currency there. So that is why when the dollar loses value, it's the quote currency on gold, we see gold rise in value, right? So anything priced against a particular currency is also in effect controlled, or at least correlated to a certain extent. So unfortunately, Bitcoin is still tied to the dollar because it's obviously controlled and compared to priced internationally against the dollar. That's obviously not a good thing. That obviously is not great most of the time. So US30 currently sitting in a little bit of a trend here. Not anything great to write home about. No, that is not gold again. That is US30. I've got to remember to turn these things off here. So one of the methods we can use to essentially deal with this is a little bit of a correction prior to a breakout, right? So when we see a descending channel, a descending correction, that is usually a sign of a bull breakout, right? It's not always the case, not written in stone, but that is the case. So I'm closing this position at break even here because I'm not seeing the volume towards the downside that I'd like to see. Should we get lower down and within this trend line, I would then end up still buying US30. Again, should we get a breakout, I would buy US30. If you want a safer trade, look for a breakout on German 30, NASDAQ, and US30. That would be a safer trigger to get long on these two items. But we're seeing a little bit of a correction here. We can see it on US30 or US 100. We can see it on German 30. So we're not getting any straightforward volume today. And again, the world is looking at that CPI data. The world is worried about any concise or decisive trajectories, because anything can happen tomorrow, right? That CPI number could wreck the markets. It could fuel a dollar rally. We could see absolutely anything. So I'm not too worried about being in anything right now or for this particular session. Charlie's saying, which source do we use in order to get the best news? I'm so glad you've asked that, guys. We are launching a ton of brand new services that are going to become available to you as well next week, meaning independent news items, independent economic calendars. So you don't have to anymore go onto these economic calendars and see these stupid ads and worry and wonder what kind of information are you receiving. So it's news that has been verified, not to be biased in any way, shape, or form. So it's going to be available to you. We are going to push that out in emails to you. It will be available within the Telegram group as well as within your client's area. It'll be available to you in your client's area. So that is one of the big things that we are doing and working on, is to have one of the most inclusive environments out of any broker experience in the world, right? And that is making sure that within your client's area, you have access to all the information that you need from a trading perspective, right? That is going to be super important. So when we speak about the client's area, What we're speaking about is logging into your client area on your Globex 360 account, right? And I just want to show you guys this really quickly. And then being able to access, and this is still something we're busy developing. It will become live extremely soon. Again, this is not USDT. This is the Globex 360 client area. And you access this by just going to www.globex360.co.za. The link is down in the video description. And on the left-hand side is where we're adding everything. The Academy will be there, a KYC tutorial, how to upload documents, but more importantly, the web trader will be there. Obviously, if you don't have that yet, that is in beta testing mode. And then tools will give you everything, right? You'll have events calendar, market calendar. You'll even have trading opportunities that will essentially bring out what kind of market opportunities are available to you, whether it be indices, commodities, short time frames, long time frames, and these will all become available to you. So as you guys know, I don't like signals. I don't like the market that's being created around signals, right? We believe in there's something better. There's better opportunities, and we're going to call them opportunities. And these are price action formations that have been spotted that have a high likelihood of materializing. That then would require you to take your own information and your own knowledge and then decide what you want to act on. Is this a currency commodity you're familiar with? Yes or no? Because as always, just please understand and remember, this is not financial advice. This is purely educational and for entertainment purposes only. But this is going to be coming directly into inbox. This is going to be coming directly into your client area, as well as live TV, as well as the Academy, as well as cashback, deposit bonuses, and so much more. There's never been a better time to not only be a trader, but specifically to be a Globex 360 client right here, right now. Beautiful. If there's anybody brand new that is watching us for the very first time, please pop up your hand if you're watching this once the recording ends. Obviously, I can't give you a shout out because this will be available to view later on at a later time. But go ahead and do me a favor and just smash that like button. I can see we have well over 100 people with us live right now. I want to see that like button on fire. If you haven't yet already subscribed, go ahead and do so. But if you're brand new here, please go ahead and just put up your hand, put a thumbs up. You can do a dab. You can do whatever it is that you want. I'll go start with the first one. I'm not new here, but I'll just put up my one over there. So I can just see Charlie here is brand new. Charlie, welcome. Make sure you like and subscribe so that you never miss a new upload. And again, guys, it's super easy. Go hit the link down below, create your new account. Once you've logged into your client area, right, you'll find that a chat support with our team is available literally by just hitting WhatsApp chat, right? So once you're on your client area, just here, right next to my head here, if I hit WhatsApp chat, it's going to open up. Do I want to open up WhatsApp and speak with the amazing team at Globex 360? And if I accept that, it'll take me through and it will send me right into the relevant department that I need in order to solve my problem, whether it's deposits, withdrawals, whatever the case may end up being. So guys, listen, you're absolutely amazing. We want to obviously smash that like button. We have surpassed the 2K sub mark. I will go and have a look at who was that 2000th person, but we are going to be celebrating this multiple times over. In addition to that, for the CPI event for tomorrow, we are going to be doing some giveaways. We're going to do some, guess the price, peg the price type competitions in terms of what do you think is going to happen and who's going to be closest to that price at a specific time. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be powerful. We're going to bring the heat. We're going to bring the energy, and we're going to party in the markets, right? We're literally going to turn the markets into not only making money, but having fun and having a community with us, which is every single one of you. So just a massive shout out to every single one of you for your time. Rainmaker saying I was a 2K sub. I will definitely have a look at that. Rainmaker, we will double check. I can see it in the statistics. With all these new things, if I don't make it a full-time trader at Globex. Yeah, absolutely, guys. We're taking things to the next level. So I know the final request, which is something we're trying to see how we can fulfill, and I get this a lot, is people have asked, even though we are going to be launching the Academy, people have asked, do we provide any physical sessions, right? And this is something that I'm busy speaking with the executive team about, as well as the rest of the team at the office, is how can we accommodate on a monthly or fortnightly basis some one-on-one sessions. When I say one-on-one, I don't mean just one person and myself or one person in the team, but more personal events, right? Where you can come in with your questions, come in with your laptop, get help, get set up, come and meet, come and ask questions. And that is something we're going to start to host at least once a month in 3 different cities. So Joburg, Cape Town, and Durban. I'm going to try and make myself available to be in every city once a month, and that'll be to help and assist. And even if it's having a coffee and chatting about the markets and have some fun, we can laugh, take some pictures, make the devil jealous. Even if that's what all it is, then that'll be great. But I do think there's a big need for people to have that engagement, especially when everything is obviously super fast and super busy, right? So Prexon saying, do we have an office in Durban? Not as yet. We have some really amazing partners in that area that we may very well be collaborating with. I do know that Aslam has set up a facility there. We're more than likely going to collaborate there. But regardless of where in the world it may end up being, we will get to a place where we're going to be international, right? And we'll have a space in Dubai, and we'll have a space in US, and we'll have a space in, we currently already have a Mauritian entity. So we're busy expanding, we're busy growing, and it's all thanks to every single one of you. We're growing the GlobeX 360 family. We're putting flags all over the world that we can be extremely proud of. So guys, listen, I absolutely love every single one of you. Thank you for joining me this morning. Dollars for lunch is going to be fire. We are going to look for amazing market opportunities there. This morning may end up being a little bit slow. I am seeing that US 30 is trying to make an attempt of that breakout on that channel. So we'll keep you guys posted on that one. I'm going to just temporarily just pop in a little bit of a buy there and just hold that feeler trade. We're not getting any clear direction here, but I do have an itch that we could see a Republican win and that markets could rally on that information. So I just want to be in a position to capitalize on a rally should it come. As we saw yesterday, we saw a massive market move. And yeah, that's all that's about. Guys, listen, L4C, thank you for the love. Guys, every single one of you, you guys are absolutely amazing. Guys, any suggestions on this load shedding in terms of backup and network data? Charlie, you're welcome to inbox me. My direct link, my direct Telegram link is down below. I can recommend you to someone who's been absolutely amazing in helping me and servicing me, and he can assist you with that. Yes, let me know. My direct Telegram link is down below. You're welcome to message. Just please remember, some days I have an insane amount of unread messages, and it's not that I don't want to reply, I just physically can't get back to everybody. So again, the more often you engage, the more likely that I'll be able to get back to you. But anything else support related, our amazing chatbot is there for you to engage with the team. Outside of that, guys, have yourselves an amazing morning. If you have your live account, I will see you guys at the Dollars for Lunch session. We will pop out emails, but please remember, you will get the link in your client area. Blissstar says, where do I join the 360 group in Telegram? Blissstar, if you look in the description, right, down below of this YouTube video, it is the second link, right? So the first link is my direct chat, right? If you want to send me a message directly. The second link is our official GlobeX 360 live TV free group. So you don't need to have a live account. You don't need to have anything. You can be in there, and yeah, you can be a part of that. So guys, listen, amazing stuff. Have yourselves an amazing morning. I will see everybody Dollars for Lunch. The link is in your client area. It will be emailed to you. And until then, let's see if we can dominate the markets. As always, stay safe. And remember to do things the GlobeX 360 way. Goodbye.